Hey guys, this Crypto Marie. She does it all, a little bit of everything. I'm going to read this story for you. You decide at the end, and I'll let you know how I feel. It says, De-Dollarization. More countries seek alternatives to the US dollar. I think this is crazy. US is going to lose its power if it's true, because some countries are not dealing with it. They don't want to use the US dollar anymore. This is crazy. Things are changing. De-dollarization. More countries seek alternatives to the US dollar. The US dollar has dominated global trade and capital flows over many decades. However, many nations are looking for alternatives to the greenback to reduce their dependence on the United States. This graphic catalogs the rise of the US dollar as the dominant international reserves currency and the recent efforts by various nations to de-dollarize and reduce their dependence on the US financial system. The dollar dominance. The United States became almost overnight the leading financial power after World War I. The country entered the war only in 1917 and emerged far stronger than its European counterparts. As a result, the dollar began to displace the pound sterling as the international reserve currency, and the U.S. also became a significant recipient of wartime gold inflows. The dollar then gained a greater role in 1944 when 44 countries signed the Bretton Woods Agreement, creating a collective international currency exchange regime pegged to the US dollar, which was in turn pegged to the price of gold. By the late 1960s, European and Japanese exports became more competitive with US exports. There was a large supply of dollar around the world, making it difficult to back dollar with gold. President Nixon seized the direct convertibility of US dollars to gold in 1971. This ended both the gold standards and the limit on the amount of currency that could be printed. Although it has remained the international reserve currency, the US dollar has lost its purchasing power since then. Russia and China stepped towards de-dollarization, concerned about America's dominance over the global financial system and the country's ability to weaponize it. Other nations have been testing alternatives to reduce the dollar's hegemony, as the United States and other Western nations impose economic sanctions against Russia in response to its invasions of Ukraine. Moscow and Chinese government have been teaming up to reduce reliance on the dollar and to establish cooperation between their financial systems. Since the invasion in 2022, the ruble-yuan trade has increased 80-fold. Russia and Iran are also working together to launch a cryptocurrency backed by gold, according to Russia's news agency Verdmosti. In addition, central banks, especially Russia's and China's, have bought gold at the fastest pace since 1967 as countries move to diversify their reserves away from the dollar. How other countries are reducing dollar's dependence. De-dollarization is theme in other parts of the world. In recent months, Brazil and Argentina have discussed the creation of a common currency for the two largest economies in South America. In conference in Singapore in January, multiple former Southeast Asian officials spoke about the De-Dollarization efforts underway. The UAE and India are in a talks to use rupees to trade non-oil commodities in a shift away from the dollar, according to Reuters. For the first time in 48 years, Saudi Arabia said that the oil-rich nation is open to trading in currencies beside the US dollar. Despite these movements, few expect to see the end of the dollar global sovereign status anytime soon. Currently, central banks still hold about 60% of their foreign exchange reserve in dollars. We have a problem. We have a problem. Yes, we have a problem, yeah. Charted 30 years of central bank gold. Globally, central bank bought a record 1.136 tons of gold in 2022. How has central bank gold demand changed over the last 3 decades? Let's see. We have a problem. America will no longer be in control if all these countries decide to create their own currency. 30 years of central bank gold demand. Did you know that nearly 1/5 of all the gold ever mined is held by central banks? Besides investors and jewelry consumers, central banks are a major source of gold demand. In fact, in 2022, central banks snapped up gold at the fastest pace since 1967. However, the record gold purchase of 2022 are in stocks, contrast to the 1990s and early 2000s when central banks were net sellers of gold. The above infographic uses data from the World Gold Council to show 30 years of central bank gold demand. Let's see, guys. Let's see.
Where are the bags?
Okay, guys. It's too much. It's too much to bring up. Anyhow, we have the de-dollarization. More countries seek alternatives to the US dollar. It could bring a problem to the US dollar because it's already going down. If all these countries decide to create their own, we are in trouble. Let me know how you feel about it. Crypto Marie, she does it all. A little bit of everything. Subscribe and let me know how you feel. Bye-bye.